In this video, we're going to continue on with creating more of the accent parts or the more refined parts of the head for our base head reference. I'm going to put these on my head layer right now. And we're going to do the same thing we did for the nose and head and just start out with a sphere. So let's drag it in and let's drag it a little bit out. And I'm going to kind of come in, and I know it's going to look a little crude to begin with, of course, these Z-spheres. That's a ZBrush term. And then I'm going to, before I duplicate and make the bottom lip, I'm going to get this to kind of wrap around, and to do that, I'm going to use my soft select. How much does this do? That doesn't help very much. With a 2, and we'll rotate. All right, that's probably enough for now. And let's position our lip kind of towards the teeth, bottom of the teeth right there. Let's push it in. Let's bring that down. All right. So these are going to be we're done. That's basically lips. 2 little boomerangs on your face. Actually, no, that's pretty dumb. I think what I want to do real quick is bring back my overall head right here. And I'm going to put these 2 in the head layer right now, bring back this head, and lock it down, but remove this. I'm going to get in here and refine the shape a little bit more. So I'm going to do an edit mesh or a mesh smooth. Get a little bit more geometry on this so I can define the shapes a little bit better. And I'm going to come in here with my sculpt brush, and let's turn my strength up to 5. And oh yeah, that's definitely what we want to start seeing. We want to see some of these shapes, some of these things that we're making. It'll just make the process a little bit easier on us. The strength is definitely way too much right now. It's not quite the subdivision level that we're going to use in our finished reference head, but you can see that we're actually starting to see a little bit more. Of the silhouette of the organicness of the head coming in. And I'm just going to sub-D it as well. I figured it would be easier to do the mouth. Oh, handsome Squidward. I figured it would just be easier to do the mouth if I had a better reference to sculpt them against. There we go. Still not the best, but we'll take what we can get. All right, this unlock after I added the reference skull back into the head layer. Let's take our lips out and we'll lock it down. And then we're going to take both of these and mesh smooth. Let's just try one smooth, see what we can get away with there. All right. I'm going to sculpt these separately. Just use my grab tool to start. Basic definition of the shape. Yeah, I definitely need more geometry. Let's grab our bulge tool to kind of build out the forms on the front of our lips there and decrease the mass at the corners. And it's just going to be hard to get good good form here because the sphere is just so bad in terms of starting shape, and we're trying to keep it a little bit low poly. But I like it. Just really low strength and a lot of clicks. Slow and steady is the name of the game a lot of the times here. All right. I'll probably come back and refine that once I start getting my bottom lip going. But that's good enough for right now. Let me just move this down out of the way. I want to get in and smooth this out because that's looking weird to me. It's going to throw me off. All right. Let's pull this back up. And let's keep in mind that the top lip comes out further than the bottom. I'm going to just scale and refine that shape a little bit more. It's almost done, right? All right. So let's grab the grab tool. I swear I don't do that on purpose. I kind of hate puns. And the bulge tool to finish her out. And top lips kind of get tucked over the bottom at the corners. All right, you can basically already see what's up with our head here. You know what? I'm just realizing that these eyelids pretty good, but let's bulge them out a little bit more. So it covers up more of the eye. Because all in all, this is kind of like a little pocket around the eye. I'm sorry, I'm getting stuck back into the eyes, but it needed to be done. All right. Got a little wobbly, but again, base mesh. All right, let's display everything back and see where we are right now. Display, show all. All right, nice. Next, we're going to do the ear. Ear is going to be same story. We're going to start out with the sphere, scale it and position it as best we can to the side of the head. All right, so let's hide the skull. And you see this little ear hole right here? Ooh, too much. This little ear hole right here is where we want to position a little bit above, because the ear hole is kind of towards the bottom of the ear. And tops of the ear kind of come up to where your eyebrows are. I'm going to take my pivot point with holding down the D key. When you hold down the D key, you can move the pivot point around, because that'll make swinging these out a little bit easier. Maybe do something like that. Control Shift H will bring back the last thing I hid. You know what? It's not going to be pretty right now, so don't worry about it. We want to really get that saucer shape going on. Right now is the perfect time to attach all this stuff and get it at the right angle. All right. Let's do a mesh smooth once. Just one smooth starting out. And grab tool is going to be a good one here. Let's take off my symmetry. We only have one ear. And let's start building our ear out. It's always good to have reference by, so you can see that the ear kind of starts out as this outer lobe, and then we have like this inner bone, cartilage sticking out, and then this blue inner cartilage area, and these all coalesce and kind of merge together and blend together in the earlobe. So this Make sure you're looking at that picture from the side, and man, when you have a good reference like that, uh, it just makes all the difference. I was feeling almost lost before I pulled that up. I was just pushing things around. I was beginning to make a chimpanzee's ear. All right, something like this. It gets a little flat right there, more curved. Smooth tool is a godsend. I made his ears poke out pretty far. It's almost better to have like a guy with crazy ears poking out because it's a little bit easier to connect and get them going in the back. So basically, just it's almost like the country of Africa. I just said country of Africa. I'm not worried about that. All right. So what we want to do now is start scoping out our basic shape on our ear. And I'm going to do that. I'd rather do that by subtracting. Let's take down my strength to 0.5. And we're just starting to form that outer ring of cartilage there. And it kind of comes in and then goes down. Let's smooth that out. And I'm going to do, now's a chance to do another smooth. Makes sculpting this a little bit easier at this point. And then it's almost like a little Y right here. And then we push in our ear hole. I'm just going way in there because it makes pulling that little part out a lot easier. And I'm going to make my brush smaller, and it almost comes in. All right, so let's do my grab tool and make our last edits a little bit easier to kind of guess the landmarks of the ear now that we have some more detail. Better, easier to get the silhouette going. All right, push it down there, maybe bring it up. There we go. I'm just not the biggest fan of what's going on here because I think in my head the whole time I wanted to do something like that. All right. Maybe shrink it a little bit. So that's just going to be my basic here. Let's hide that and let's check our reference. So our hole's more like back here. So if we bring back my head, there we go. Very important that we get our ear just right because it's going to help us find out where our jawline is going to be. All right. I want to just, I'm not liking the way this earlobe is working. There we go. And I'm going to get my bulge tool to finish out this lobe. Ears are another one of those things that are probably just going to be dependent upon person to person. It's a gnarly ear, bro. And that little thing is sticking out way too far. So is that. That's what it looks like subdeed. Let's grab my relax tool. Relax is like smooth light. And then my smooth tool. Very nice. All right. Now that that's done, I guess it's let's begin refining the overall shape of the head. So let's lock down the reference. And maybe before that, maybe we should. I'm going to mirror dupe over the things. I'm going to mirror dupe, modify, freeze, reset, Control D to duplicate, -1, the X. That's the rotate X. I'm going to do scale X. Perfect. And then just to make sure that my skull is symmetrical while I do this final sculpt, I'm going to definitely make sure that it's symmetrical. So we're going to grab this center edge loop. We'll scale it flat and then snap to the center of the grid, in which we'll do a modify, freeze, reset, Control D, -1 X scale, mesh, combine, go into vertex, merge verts with a low tolerance, pretty low tolerance. All right, so it's almost all the way there. One thing we're going to do real quick though is we're going to do yet again another smooth, and then another smooth, and we're going to separate all of our features on different layers from our head, so we can lock down either or. I'm not even going to name that layer. It's going to be a temporary one anyway. And let's grab my sculpt tool, and it's now time to go Object Symmetry X, and let's finish the sculpt here. So we really need to focus on the jawline. Is a good landmark to start with, as you can already just see it coming up. So just to make sure that we're following our reference, I'm going to grab my smooth tool and increase its smooth strength about 70. Don't be afraid to subtract mass on this. Oh, you know what? Might help to have your reference on. I was about to say, this guy really has some sunken in cheeks. Yeah, don't feel afraid to go too far in with Control and click with your sculpt tool on, because you really want to make sure that you're adhering to our reference. That's why it's there. So it's just a combination of, see how I'm almost exaggerating the jawline, then I'll go in and smooth it, bring out the rest of the shape with it, and then just give everything a healthy smooth. When you take things to extreme in sculpting and then smooth them out, it just makes life a little bit easier. All right, getting a decent jawline. The next thing I like to go for is the eye region, and we need to work on the sockets of this eye. Try to uniformly get you know what? I think I know what I need to do here. Modify center pivot. I think we needed to kind of rotate the eyelids a little bit, because all too often it's so easy just to see like a flat front eye area. So let's try that, and this will encourage us to have our eye socket region and our eyebrow wrap around with our skull. So you can see I'm taking it in almost way too much. Because I feel like I was kind of off from the reference in a big way. If it helps, you can go into shading and X-ray so you can kind of see what's going on. But it's really just almost too hard to tell, especially when you have to go in and click something like that. All right. I even touched the temple there. It's almost impossible just to focus on one area. Very often you'll let's turn down my smooth. Give it some healthy smoothing. All right. Your eyebrow area does have a little bit of fat and skin there. So it's not going to be skin tight against the skull, but it's going to be enough. And then the brow ridge extends into the cheekbone area. So I'm going to push this down and find the cheekbone again. Yeah. Yeah, let's find my reference. Let's do a buff. Hold down shift and I just rotate. And then the form I was talking about kind of comes around that way. Let's smooth it down. So it's like you do a lot of work and a lot of button presses only to smooth it down and it almost be irrecognizable. All right, let's move on into the mouth area now. The mouth kind of goes concave right here into the nose. The mouth area wraps around the teeth just like the eyeballs wrap around the eyeball. We get a little dip and then there we go, perfect. But if we smooth it out, we see that actually kind of sticks around. Just defining the jaw a little bit more. And we're starting to get something here, aren't we? Let's bulge out our cheekies. In fact, maybe even get the bulge brush on with a big one, with a little bit. See how it almost just, it does just bulge easier than using the straight sculpt tool. I'm not going to worry too much about the nose, the areas where I'm just not quite sure how the topology works because it's floating geometry. I'll come back to that later when we actually have the whole face built, and there'll be a whole series of refinements that we'll do during that phase as well. There we go. That little fat under the eyes there. suggested. Notice how I'm always just looking at things from multiple angles. Let's give one more consideration to the skull. I really need to turn my smooth. So I'll select smooth and double click the highlighted tool over here to bring up exactly what I wanted. There we go. I haven't really paid too much attention to the area around the ear because when you think about how the jawline works, and if you position the ear just right, it's kind of just takes care of itself a little bit. At least it did in this case. And we'll use our grab tool here. See how when you just get more geometry, things just get crunchier and harder to solve for? I think it's safe to say it's time to turn off the body and get the nightmare fuel that is head on a bones. All right. I'd say for a reference face made in about 40 minutes, you could probably make it faster if you weren't doing a video. That's not too bad. Now it's going to be up to us to retopologize this into one clean mesh that's can deform when it's animated, and then we'll refine it even more to look even better.